Hari Om. Today we are on the 7th mantra of section 2 of chapter 3. We are slowly inching towards the end of this Upanishad. Total about 11 mantras. So we have come to the 7th one today. So 8, 9, 10, 11. 4 more mantras on this Upanishad. So these are concluding stanzas. So you might find a bit difficult to grasp, but try and make it as simple as possible. But your concentrated attention will also play a great role in properly understanding the mind of the Rishi. Now today's stanza reads, Gada Kala Panchadasha Pradishta Devascha Sarve Pradidevadasu Karmani Vijnanamayascha Atma Parye Vyaye Sarva Egi Bhavanti. Now the Shankara's short rendering of the meaning is the 15 kalas or parts go back to their respective sources. All the powers seated on the senses go back to their corresponding deities, and all his karma and the Jivatma, all these become one in the highest imperishable Brahman. Definitely this needs to be examined in a little more detail. So let's do that. The absolute sattvic, pure static energy in itself cannot create anything without the help of an egocentric energy called Maya. He cannot create anything out of nothing. So he needs something to create something. Thus, it is said that the Creator thus created certain inputs required for his full-fledged products as per the Vasana designs of creatures waiting for their turn to enter a gross body, to fulfill their vasanas residual in their subtle and causal body, and then ultimately and finally merge with the reality. Now here when we say creator, it is Brahmaji. You should understand that. It is not Brahman, it is Brahmaji. Brahma is the absolute self, it's beyond everything. Brahmaji is a created being, is a Deva, is an illuminator, in charge of creation, production manager. Okay. Now in Prashnopanishad, we have a very detailed discussion on these kalas which are referred here. Even Shankara refers to the Prashnopanishad in his commentary on this Mundaka. And that portion is found in Prashnopanishad while Pipalada Rishi, the teacher, is answering the questions of his disciple Sukesha. The Upanishad gives, that is Prashnopanishad gives 16 kalas, whereas here Mundaka says Gada Kala Panchadasha Pradishta, 15 kalas. Now there is no need for confusion, 15 or 16, not to worry, because these Upanishads are written from different periods of time, and in terminologies in classifications, different people have different connotations. Suppose we say, for example, some people say chitta. Chitta means mind and intellect. But some people say mind, intellect separately. So if you put mind and intellect separately, then it becomes two. But if you chitta, it is one. So that doesn't matter. Don't believe these number games. Let's catch the bull by the horn. So 15 or 16 doesn't matter. Let's say 16 because that is what is written in the Prashnopanishad. And these 16 colors are enumerated in Prashnopanishad in a seemingly unintelligent assortment. On a first reading, you will find this is all madness. Therefore, one must have plenty of philosophical thinking and understanding to ultimately discover the logical sequence in which these colors have been indicated and their interrelationship. We are not here at the moment embarking on such an exhaustive study. We are not making a research on that. But at the same time, it is required to have a very, very superficial knowledge, a passing knowledge on all these matters. Otherwise, our knowledge will be shaky. We should have enough material to know what it means, but not a PhD thesis on that. That's not our intention. Okay. Therefore, it is sufficient if we understand that these 16 colors constitute the world within and without the individual and the universe. It constitutes a sum total of the individual, the Vyashti, and the universe, the Virat, the microcosmic and the macrocosmic. Let me first list out for you these 16 colors as enunciated in Prashnopanishad, in that order. Now be careful, I am listing them out, you can count them. Prana, from prana came faith, from faith came Akash, space, then came air, then came fire, then came water, then came the earth, then the senses, sense organs of perception, then the mind, then the food, then the strength, then the thought, then the mantra, then the karma, and next the world and its names and forms. So total 16 has been enunciated or listed, narrated. Now the Creator, first and foremost, created and appointed pranas, meaning cosmic prana, technically known as Sutrama. We had referred to this Sutrama in our earlier mantras. Or home name or nickname called as Hiranyagarbha. Hiranyagarbha is a creator, Brahmaji, not Brahman, Brahmaji. So the creativity or the creator in us, each one of us, subjectively if we look, the prana stands for the creator in us. The creator in us is the prana. So in us, in our mind, the creator is the prana. The same prana is the creator of the world. Whole my prana, your prana, his prana, that man's prana, this man's prana, her prana. Every prana put together is the Brahmaji, the creator. Isn't it? The total creativity in us, in all of us put together, is the total creativity of that Brahmaji. Brahman, not Brahman, Brahmaji, or called as Brahma, Brahmava, something like that, not Brahman. Thus, subjectively, the prana stands for the creator in us, meaning the creative urge in our physical, mental, and intellectual personalities, which is referred to as Ichha Shakti. You will understand that clearly. Ichha Shakti. Thus, it is because of the prana or the creative urge in each one of us that the entire apple cart of our life rolls on, isn't it? If we have no creative urge, how will it move? If you don't have an urge to put your next step forward, where will you put? You must have a creative urge which is represented by prana. This energy or the creative dynamism is constructive and destructive in potentiality, can express itself or function only when it is self-conscious. Think. It must be conscious of itself. It is not a doll game. It is not a robo. It must be conscious of itself to put a step forward. This consciousness in each one of us, called Jnana Shakti, the self-consciousness, is expressed through the faith in us, the faith that I am conscious of. I know what it is. I have a faith in my knowledge. And that's the reason why immediately after the prana, the faith comes in its order. None of us can conceive of or act or accomplish anything in this world if we do not have faith. We cannot put a step forward, as I said, with this unless the faith is ingrained in us. You may not know, but if the faith is not ingrained in you, you cannot survive for a moment. You don't know the value of faith. You may not recognize it. So when the creator urge in us gains faith, coupled with faith, it must have a field to express itself. It will demand. You have to give him a field. So then the requisite field is created. The rudiments of mind is then born as the 5 great elements as space, air, fire, water and earth. Think please. So we now have number 1 prana, number 2 faith, number 3 space, number 4 air, number 5 fire, number 6 water, number 7 earth. The space, the air, the fire, the water, the earth are all the field for the individual to express, field of activity. The perceivers of the above 5 great elements who expresses through the man. There is a field to experience. I want to gain something out of it. Naturally, I will send somebody. So the perceivers of the above great 5 elements, the space, the air, the fire, the water, the earth, these are all enjoyed by me, or I get the experience of the space or the fire or the air or the water or the earth through my sense organs, together known as senses. So the sixth one is born as our senses. So we have a conglomeration of the five sense organs in one basket called senses, collectively known as senses, which is the eighth in serial. So far, okay? When these 8 items come to play, the focal mind of all these colors become the mind. There must be a supervisor, a coordinator. In a music program, somebody has to conduct that music, no? Master of ceremony, whoever it is. So the mind is born as a ninth in serial. For what? To coordinate the experience of this individual through his sense organs out into the sense, the five great elements. And that becomes the ninth in serial, the mind. When thus a mind is formed, which is regularly provided with experience of an outer world of plurality made up of five great elements, the nature has to provide some working capital for him, some food for him, which is serial number 10. Food is considered as serial number 10. The mind in us cannot work if there is no food. The subtler aspect of the gross food taken by us supports the mind. We take a gross food, but there is a subtler aspect in the food which supports the mind. Whether it is rajasic food or tamasic food or sattvic food, the nature and quality of the food, the subtlety of the food determines the way of the behavior of our mind. Is it not true? So the food for the mind is created. Now food necessary yield strength. So the concept of strength is created, mental strength, manashakti. So mind is the 10th one and strength is the 11th, serial number 11. Now you may not be able to correlate these numbers immediately, it doesn't matter. But please, in case you are interested to make a deeper study into the Upanishad, when you go back, read this talk, hear this talk once more, sit with the text of Mundaka Upanishad. If you are interested, sit with the text of Mundaka Upanishad, read, understand these 16 colors, read it properly, and then try to correlate the meaning that I am trying to explain to you, and then see if you understand. Make a study. That's the way you have to make a serious study of Upanishad. But if it's a casual hearing, let's forget about it. Okay. So we have now on stage with these 11 people, evolution of a man which is fed from outside with challenges for the mind and the subtler version of the food from within. So the mind is well fattened. It has got the strength, it has got the ability. Thus, fattened with this sumptuous food from within and without, the mind erupts like a volcano, thoughts. Various thoughts come in, ideas come in the mind, which is 12th in serial. Now these thoughts can either be good or bad, integrated or disintegrated, useful or wasteful, depending upon your vasanas, your prarabdha. The solid trait of man's mental character can channelize these thoughts to nobler goals. Even if you are born with a bad thought, a proper training of the mind, a proper channelization of the thoughts can rechannel the thoughts of the mind to nobler thoughts. These traits of good character is achieved through mantras. What is the meaning of mantra? The root meaning, manana trayate iti mantra. Manana trayate means that which transcends the mind is the mantra. It tranquilizes the mind. It controls the mind. It pacifies the mind. So therefore, mantra is born as serial number 13. Now these mantras or manashakti, chanted or practiced in a certain sequence, accompanied by various rituals or exercises, together constitute karma, which is the 14th in serial, which is known as Kriya Shakti. So in and through these 16 kalas, you have Ichha Shakti, Jnana Shakti and Kriya Shakti inbuilt. As our karma, so is the world. Our karmas create our world. So the next creation after karma is the world. The moment you do a karma, you are creating a world. The karma creates a predetermined world for you. And therefore the world is created. That is the 15th. And the world is useless and cannot be recognized without its various names and forms. What is the use of bringing something if you do not know its names and forms? Either you should know its name or you should know its form. Without knowing the name and form, there is no use. Even if I tell you a name without a form, without anything in your mind, you can't grasp. We have discussed the other day, Gagabugayan. It is just a name. It doesn't help. So, the world must have names and forms, which is the 16th kala. This is a very, very brief and rough sequence of the kalas. Okay. The text now says that these kalas go back to their respective deities, meaning the effect merge into the cause. From where these kalas came, to that respective things they go. We have earlier seen that the presiding deities are those that give them the power of receiving the sense impulses. For example, in Vedanta, I is considered to be presided over by sun. Sun is a presiding deity of the eyes in Vedantic language. This only means that the vision of the eye can function only when its sense objects such as the form, the color, are in a medium of light. The object you want to experience through the eye should be in a medium of light. The light must bless that product. So the Rishi said, Vedanta said, sun is a presiding deity of the eyes. Thus, each sense organ has its share of grace from the various lords of these great elements. Each of these 5 great elements have their own devatas. And those devatas are the presiding deities of their respective sense organs of perception. Now, in the case of an individual who has realized the self, the various faculties in the organs roll out of sense organs in their respective macrocosmic elemental powers. They merge into that macrocosm. The mantra concludes to say that the deeds with their reactions of the seeker and the ego center, with all its false vanities and what do you call illogical theories, merge to become one with the Supreme, the imperishable, the Brahman. Bit tough, I know. Now the next mantra, Rishi picturizes how these parts in the seeker, these colors in the seeker, gracefully merge with their respective causations and ultimately to the supreme reality. We will examine this tomorrow. Hari Om, and sorry for the extra time.